Nothing is worse than being neutral. It's almost like you're paralyzed. You can't make a decision to go forward, to go backwards. Sometimes it's okay to be upset, to be angry, to be sad, to have grief, to be like, this fucking sucks. I think a lot of times people get stuck in trying to figure out the best decision.
Welcome back to the Everygirl podcast, where I teach you how to live your best life while loving who you already are. Today's guest is not only an icon, truly, but she is also a masterclass in going after what you want and practicing self-confidence along the way. Molly Sims is in the studio with me today. Molly Sims is a supermodel, actress, entrepreneur, and the definition of reinvention. You may have first known her as the face of CoverGirl on the cover of Sports Illustrated or hosting MTV's House of Style. Maybe you first fell in love with her in Las Vegas or recognize her from iconic movies such as Fired Up, Benchwarmers, and Yes Man. You might know her from her podcast, Lipstick on the Rim, or her insanely popular beauty brand, Wise Beauty. But what you might not know is how she built a multi-decade career by following curiosity over fear, mastering the pivot, and saying yes to the unknown, even when everyone else was saying no. Molly has had to face rejection and insecurities, navigate reinvention, build businesses, and redefine herself time and time again, all while staying grounded in joy, resilience, and positivity. And today, she's opening up about all of it. In this rare conversation where Molly is in the hot seat, she shares the behind-the-scenes story of how she went from small-town Kentucky to the cover of French Vogue, why she believes manifestation and mindset are her greatest business tools, and the vulnerable realities about facing hardships. We talk resilience, aging in the public eye, and the magic of not waiting until you're ready to start the thing. If you've ever questioned whether you're too late, too uncertain, or too far from your next chapter, Molly will change your mind in this episode. And P.S., of course, I get beauty tips. We fangirl over French pharmacies, skincare tips, and let me just say, Molly's glam secrets might be your new obsession. Don't forget to hit subscribe and follow so you don't miss an episode. And let me know what you thought about this convo in Apple reviews and YouTube or Spotify comments. Grab your iced latte or get your hot girl walking shoes on. This is not just a conversation, it is a masterclass in reinvention. Here's my chat with Molly. Molly Sims, welcome to the Everygirl podcast. I'm so excited to have you.
Happy to be here. I've followed you for a very long time, since your days at Elle.
Oh my God.
I love this podcast. I don't do a lot of podcasts because I'm so busy with Wise and with my own podcast, but yours is I don't know. I love your energy. I actually love your story.
Molly, I'm going to freak out right now.
From your, days at Elle to wellness to finding your own, I think let me tell you, it's not easy to have your own podcast. It's not easy. And you're very young.
You are going to make me cry already. Thank you. So it is literally an honor to have you. I know you don't do a lot of podcasts besides your own. So truly, thank you so much. It's such an honor. If we were to meet Molly Sims at 10 years old, what would she be like?
Oh my God. She would be happy. I was a very happy child. I was positive. I had a great mom and dad. She was definitely always curious. I think that curiosity was just natural. I think that has been a constant characteristic of mine. I'm always curious. I'm always wondering. I'm like, what's her why? Why do we do that?
Yes.
When do we do that? Or how do we do that? And I think that has served me. I think the 10-year-old self kind of always wanted to know what was behind the door, what was on the other side. And it wasn't, people say, oh God, you wanted to get out of Kentucky. It wasn't that I wanted to get out of Kentucky. It's just, I wanted to see more. And I think through my parents having a book company and traveling, I didn't get to fly at all really, but my dad would just travel to all these different states and he would come back, or my mom, they owned a book company. But they were always, my mom was like, oh, they're wearing their hair straight now. She was always so great about
with it.
She was so with it. She was very curious. Yeah, I think that 10-year-old girl she was happy. She was curious. She didn't know what she didn't know, which I think... And I think, listen, my parents were, you can do and be anything you want to. And that wasn't just at 10, that was at 20 when I left Vanderbilt. And again when I left modeling, and again when, I'm like, oh, maybe I'll host or maybe I'll act. So I think it's always kind of served me, that curiosity.
I always say that curiosity is a skill. Like, it really is a factor that I've learned is what helps successful people be successful. It is like this trait, characteristic that we don't talk about enough, but it's such a skill to be curious.
Yeah. And I mean, listen, my business, whether you call it modeling, entertainment, whatever, however you want to describe the last 25 plus years of my life, I came from a very positive culture into a no culture. So I'm of the no culture until I turn it into a yes. And I think that has served me, right? Because not everything do I think is going to work, but I will try my damnedest to make it. And, the no's, yes, of course they're hard. I found out something the other day, like a 4-year situation that I was like, how did I go wrong in that situation, right? Like, those moments are hard to hear. The no's that you don't get the job, you're too tall, you're too skinny, you're too fat, you're too whatever. But they do help you with resilience. They help you kind of building up your armor. You're like, okay, you didn't pick me. They weren't going to pick me. And I have a really good village. I have a really good community. I have a really good team at my office. And that is hard work, picking those people and them picking you. But being positive, manifesting, that's very important long-term.
Especially in, really any industry. Like, if you have a long career, you're going to deal with rejection. You're going to deal with no's. It takes a lot of confidence to go through the career that you've had. Was that something that you had to learn as an adult, or did 10-year-old Molly have that too?
I think a little bit of both. I think 10-year-old Molly, she reminds me I have a 10-year-old Scarlett now.
Which, can I tell you, Scarlett has been my baby name even before you had a daughter.
Love, you have to use it.
Scarlett is my favorite name forever. So I love her name.
My Scar was a little bit like little Molly. A little, she's probably a little tougher than me, but I'm from the South originally. On the outside and a bit mushy on the inside. But I definitely had a competitive, it's a really good question. I think I didn't know what I didn't know, but even if I did know, it really didn't stop me.
So you might feel the uncertainty, but then you did it anyway.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I think that is what I mentor a lot of girls, and I'm always like, you have to be okay with change. You have to. If it's going to work out, it will work out, or it won't. And that's how it's worked out. Something happened within my company the other day, and I had a formula that I worked on for 2 years. The manufacturer went under. They filed bankruptcy. So it's like, you just never know. And then I had to quickly reformulate, get it into regulatory. And, a bit of bad luck. I had a great formula. The CM went under, the contract manufacturer. I'm like, what is happening? And then come to find out 4 months later, we reformulated with another company and it's better. So sometimes things work out for a reason, you just don't know. But I think early on as a child, I was very driven. My mom and my dad were very big on change. They were very big on, let's see what happens.
Yeah.
Let's try it.
That is the foundation of confidence, it's okay if it doesn't work out. Let's try it. Let's see what happens. Change, switch it up.
Look at your journey.
Yeah.
I'm sure you had a lot of no's.
I've had a lot of no's. I've had a lot of change.
Until you had a yes.
100%.
Right? Like, I think it's scary. Look, it's scary at 50. It was scary at 20. I think you have to have things you go through. Not that I wish things bad on anybody, but I do think sometimes when it doesn't work out, can teach you just as much as it does when things do work out, because things aren't always going to work. And I think it's like kind of like a mountain. A lot of my friends would deal with anxiety and depression, as we all do, and we struggle at different points in our life. But it's how we get up the mountain and down the mountain and back up. Sometimes we can just get paralyzed. And I always say to my friends, nothing is worse than being neutral.
That is such a good line.
Nothing. You're stagnant. You can't, it's almost like you're paralyzed. You can't make a decision to go forward, to go backwards. Sometimes it's okay to be upset, to be angry, to be sad, to have grief, to be like, this fucking sucks. And then to pick yourself up, keep going. And sometimes that's what you have to do. I think a lot of times people get stuck in trying to figure out the best decision. I don't know if it's the best decision, right? I don't know. As a mom, I don't know. Sometimes I think I'm a great mom. Sometimes I think, shit, it's not what I thought it was going to be, right?
I can't even imagine. Yeah.
They're going to, going to be in therapy, going to be Victoria Beckham. But I think, look, I'm very, like I said before, I try to lead with positivity. I tell you, karma, it comes back.
Amen to that. Karma always comes back. So I want to go through some of these ups and downs in your career. Like you briefly mentioned, you kind of did a pivot from college going right into the modeling industry. Mm-hmm. Can you walk me through how you got into that? How'd you get your first gig?
I'm from Murray, Kentucky, the western part of the state, not the fancy part like Louisville and Lexington. I went to Vanderbilt. I did a stint on the Hill. I thought I wanted to go into political law. I always wanted to be a lawyer. Quick turn. I was going to spend my semester abroad my junior year. That summer, I'd asked my mom to help me get to New York, just see if I could model. I had some pictures taken, called a test. I went there for the summer and they were like, would you like to model for a semester abroad? And I thought, I don't think so, but maybe, but I don't know. And then I was supposed to go to Greece. Oh. Because when you go abroad, you have a much more chance of getting tear sheets, meaning to make your book, to get editorial. And so I ended up not going to Greece. I ended up going to Germany. It was a very hard transition. I went from being a tri-delt, eating pizza and dipping my fries in Wendy's Frosty to a business, a very hard, a very critical, a very tough business. Because that is what modeling is. It is a business. I was told I was too fat. I was never going to make it. I would always be a catalog girl. I had a lot of phone calls those first 6 months to my parents. Just give it one more week. Give it one more day. Just one day after the next. And then you're like, wait, I think I can do this. And then from Germany, I went to England. I went to London. From London, I went to Paris. And about 6 years later, I'm still over there. And I've lived in Italy. I've lived in Germany. I've lived in Paris. I've lived all over. And then I get the call to come start going back to New York. And I'm like, I love Europe. I've learned so much. I learned to do the done French girl, no makeup.
You're so cool.
I learned, how to dress. If you're in Italy, how to be a little sexy with a slip dress and just like that. I don't know, that ciao bella. Yeah. I loved it. I loved in England, a little funky, a little leather, a little vintage, a little, Alexander McQueen, Vivienne Westwood. I just was a sponge. I really was. I learned to dress. I watched. That was the best college I could go to.
And the coolest college
and
ever.
The coolest. And that's truly where I kind of fell in love with beauty. I'd never met a French pharmacy I didn't love, but, and then it took me back to the States. And I thought, you know what? I was told, I'd never be an editorial girl. In September 2020, I was on the cover of French Vogue.
That's like the biggest, fuck you to whoever told you that.
And then I got MTV, House of Style, and Sports Illustrated and CoverGirl. And then I'm like, I did have always a propensity, and sometimes it's to my detriment. I'm like, well, what if this doesn't work out? What's next? I'm like a cat that doesn't die. I was like, I'm just going to take a month off. When you're working in Europe pretty much shuts down as a model. So you get kind of that time off. And I took an acting class here in LA. I did an intensive, a Sanford Meisner intensive. And I loved it. It's on Lancashire Boulevard. Marty was my teacher. And he goes, I've got an ongoing 2-year program. I was like, Marty, I live in Paris. And he's like, I know. But if you ever wanted to do it, I think you would really like it. I took 77 red eyes and I did that course.
You're kidding. You went back and forth from Paris to LA?
And New York.
That is craziness.
I did.
Oh my God. Because you fell in love with acting that much?
I fell in love with the art of acting. I fell in love with, I don't know, it felt for me like I was going back to school, right? I'm like, that's how they do that. That's what that means. Or that's where you can draw from and pull from. And it was very good for me. Having not a lot of theater in my life, having not a lot of hosting is one thing. As you know, I'm sure we're a few years in now. You're a better host than you were 2 years ago, right?
Even last week, right? Yeah.
Because you learn, right?
Yeah.
I remember House of Style. They were like, you're like a bobbing seal. Because I would, speak to you, Josie, and I would like constantly,
I do the same thing.
right?
It's because that's what you do in conversation. So
Correct.
you have to remember, like, oh, I'm on camera. I should not bob my head constantly.
And then I would rock back and forth. I'm like, hey guys, I'm Molly Sims. Welcome to House of Style. And they're like, just don't move. Look, it was really good for me. It was really good for my confidence. I didn't never know that I would go into acting. And then I got an opportunity on Vegas. A lot of my life has been, don't worry, you're never going to get it. Oh, it's all good. And I don't know why that always has propelled me.
It's a little bit of like I'm going to prove them wrong.
Correct. And so that led me to LA. I used to live right up, we're taping in West Hollywood. I used to live off Queens Road for 15 years until I moved in with my husband. But it was such a pivotal part of my life, those 2 years. I felt like I was leaving modeling to go, and I wasn't. Like, that was the one thing a lot of people put down their modeling experience when they were wanting to go into acting to be taken serious. That wasn't me. I wouldn't have been there without the modeling. I wouldn't have been there without the people giving me the opportunity, the chances. I wouldn't. And then kind of that's how she
the rest is history.
Yeah. I did Vegas and I still kept modeling. And then after it ended, I had to a little bit focus on my personal life. I was a little bit late meeting my husband. I had 3 kids. My last child was at 44. So I talked to all the young girls who are listening to this podcast. It's never too late.
We all need to hear that.
You all need to hear that. But I will say, for me, will give you guys the same advice. I did have to stop and kind of treat it a little bit like work,
You got to focus on that.
Focus. I was always leaving. I'm like, oh, I'll go hang out in New York, or oh my God, I'll take that job, or oh, I'll do that. Like, I was never around. And that was hard. That was hard to stay still, to stay planted, to not always flee when I'm like, LA is a little bit tough in terms of dating. I don't know how it is now, but for me, I felt like it was very segregated. I felt people had their people, and I was like a gypsy and very transient. I remember meeting my husband, and he's in the entertainment business, and he grew up in Granada Hills, and I was so jealous of like all of his community.
Because he had his people.
Because he had his people. He had his people. He was running Universal. He was a producer. Like, he had his work people. Then he went to high school. Then he had college. Like, I don't know. And I've done my best over the years. I had my 50th birthday a couple of years ago, and my friends were like, yeah, I actually know more than just you guys. Like, these people were pivotal in my life in my early 20s and 30s. But village and community is strong. And as a mom, it's a must-have. And I think just your girlfriends, like for me, getting dumped. And then, we talking at the office with the girls, we're like, DDP. They're like, what's DDP? I'm like, deep, dark place. Every now and then we're in a deep, dark place. But yeah, and it's been really, look, I've never been one for FOMO.
You're more JOMO, joy of missing out is more your thing?
I'm more JOMO. I've always been like that.
That's a superpower.
It's a superpower. It doesn't really bother me. Every now and then, as a young girl, I'm like, oh, I wish I could have done that. Oh, I really wanted that. But I've always been like, but you weren't going to get it. And I tried to make it less about me because, as you know, when you're modeling, everything is based on physicality. I had dark hair, or I had blonde hair, or I'm too tall. I just didn't fit. Even with acting, I'm 5'9.5". If your co-star is 5'7", It's a little bit hard.
Yeah.
But look, I got chances other people didn't, and other people got chances that I didn't. So I think it kind of all works out.
I talk a lot about how my sleep routine is my biggest non-negotiable. I love to optimize my mornings as much as the next girl, but nothing impacts my skin, my mood, or my health more than what I do at night. Sleep is when everything actually resets, and that's why I've been loving Osea's Dream Collection. It's become the final step that tells my body and my brain we are done for the day. Their Dream Night Serum and Dream Night Cream are clinically tested, powered by bioretinol, and designed to reduce the visible effects of stress on the skin while you sleep. I wake up with skin that feels nourished, hydrated, and noticeably smoother, like it actually got a chance to rest. They also just launched the Dream Bioretinol Body Serum, which is already a staple in my body care routine. It's an overnight, full-body treatment that visibly firms, smooths, and helps de-stress the skin by morning. It makes my entire nighttime ritual feel more elevated because skincare is self-care, especially at night. Give your skin a rest with clean, clinically tested skincare from Osea. And right now we have a special discount just for our listeners. Get 10% off your first order site-wide with code TheEverygirl at OseaMalibu.com. You know those little things that totally change the game in your relationship, like little acts of service or uninterrupted time together? Add KY, yours and mine, to that list. Lube is not about fixing anything, it's about enhancing what's already there. KY knows that lube is a powerful, confidence-building part of intimacy, and their yours and mine lube increases comfort and enhances experience for both partners. Think warming for you, tingling for them, and long-lasting moisture that supports comfort, ease, and connection. Whether you're deepening intimacy this Valentine's Day or just investing in a little extra spark this season, if you know, you know. Learn more about KY, yours and mine at k-y.com. That's k-y.com.
And I mean, you know, starting Wise, I have a beauty company I started about 2.5 years ago. I had a really bad hyperpigmentation. In my early 40s, I was kind of known for that no makeup until I wasn't. I had really bad cystic acne starting in my late 20s.
Did that shift happen around your pregnancies or it was before?
Before my late 20s.
Okay.
I had hormonal cystic acne. It would be like a volcano on my chin.
Ugh.
One that would last a month and then another one. And I don't know. I did everything.
And when you're on camera and that's your career, that must have been like a shot. It would have been a shot to my confidence.
Yeah, it wasn't like a finger on a phone retouching it. You would just not have to work for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But then in my early 40s, that kind of went away, weirdly. But then with a vengeance came hyperpigmentation. And I think it was a mixture of age, late 30s, you know, sun, hormones. But it was definitely, for a girl who'd been confident for a really long time, it kind of took me down. And I was the queen of kind of like taking in this pot of matte concealer and I would press it in to try to make everything. Because when you have hyperpigmentation melasma, you almost look dirty. You look a little patchy because that's what it is. It's almost like a patch of freckles and I did everything. I went to the derm. Again, I had access. Sometimes access is dangerous. I did peels. I did hydroquinone and it was great. I mean, I guess I was red, dry, and irritated. And then I would walk out into a sunny day in LA and it would come back with a vengeance.
So even all the treatments, nothing would actually work.
Because I was doing everything very harsh. More does not mean more and more does not mean better.
I think that's a big lesson that a lot of
Big
people need to
lesson
hear.
in life. And then in 2019, it was kind of a roller coaster. 2012 a baby, 15 a baby, 17 a baby. And then by 2019, I was just so fraught and so upset. And I was like, I have got to figure this out. So I stopped going to the derm. I stopped doing hydroquinone. I stopped doing any type of procedure for almost a year. Wow. And naturally, I started with one product, then another product, like 15 products. And cut to 2020, I really wanted to kind of change things up. My kids were starting to get a little bit out of diapers. We were in COVID, but I just didn't want to go back and sit in a trailer. And my husband and I kind of made a deal that if I'm working on set, he wouldn't. And when he was, I wouldn't. And I kind of wanted to be a part of something. Look, I love holding up a candle and saying how amazing and how I'm, but I'd never been in the conception. I was always at the end. I'm the model who comes in.
That's
I would
an interesting way to look at it.
So many founders. I had written 2 books and I'd started a little bit dipping my toe in behind the scenes of producing. But I wanted to be a part of something from the beginning. And I didn't know what that was. And then I wanted to be with a woman named Nicole King-Salaka, who owns Linden Entertainment. She's an incredible management company. And I thought for sure she would take me because I loved my manager before, but I kind of wanted to go, I wanted to see more brand. Like, could I do something brand with acting? Like, could I be that 360? And she was like, you're going to need a 5-year plan. I'm like, what?
What? Excuse me?
But because she made me really dial down, be specific. I met with a woman literally 3 days later. I'm like, I need you to come and sit with me and look at all of what I'm doing, mollysims.com, my modeling, my acting, my writing. I was writing a 3rd book. And out of that, I'm not joking, ultimately became a brand and a podcast, which is crazy.
That's crazy.
I know.
I mean, and like, who has been able to pivot like that and have such success in the beauty industry from entertainment? Like that you have that crossover. Well, I think
because she was like, is there anything? I'm like, no, I'm not good at baking. I'm good at baking. I'm not good at cooking. I'm like, I just finished a beautiful house. I don't want to be a designer. Like, but I said, I've done something with my skin. And she's like, well, what do you mean? I said, I know this is going to sound crazy, but wait, hold on. Let me go get the products. So I literally got 15 fucking random products, brought them down. And I go, I know this is going to sound strange, but this works. And she goes, what do you mean? I go, look at my skin. And I'd had a friend of mine, Dr. Karmanukian, who's a very big plastic derm that all the kids get sewn up when they break something, between him and Roddy Raban. But he's like, oh, your skin looks really good. And I said, I kind of been doing some things. And then I started on my neighbor, Annie.
Wait, and were you mixing these formulas?
No, I was just putting different products
putting
together.
Them together.
And this is when you do it. And this is how you do it. Like 15.
So just building the routine and the combinations. Whoa.
Oh, no, it was terrible. I'm like stripping, like putting like, no, it was a terrible. I was balancing it. And I wasn't pushing those actives too high. And if I was, I would quickly put some humectant, surfactant back into my skin, the plumping, the firming, as opposed to the stripping sandpaper. And that is wise.
That's wise. And you knew how to balance. Like that's the key word is the combination of exfoliating, the harder stuff and the gentle.
Got a bad word.
Yes.
Right? It got a bad rap. But you have to exfoliate. You have to get that little bit of irritation, dead skin cells, because if not, it's kind of like when your makeup sits on your face, you're like, ugh, it's the texture. And I had used this incredible toner for 15 plus years that would burn my face off that I love. I'm like, what if I could make that clean? Even now, a lot of people are copying my pads and they're like, dry is better. Dry is not better. Harsher is not better. And that's why your favorite X pads won Allure Best of Beauty. They are incredible. They are clean. You can do it in your face, your neck, your deck. If you've been in the sun, if you have bad texture, you want smooth tone, and it is amazing for hyperpigmentation.
Wow. And people need that. It kind of plays into our insecurity. If we have a flaw in our face, whether it's a breakout, hyperpigmentation.
They're good for breakouts, And then we had that hit. We had Skin Glow, SPF. And really the reason why I did Skin Glow is because I had acne and I needed something not greasy, that I wanted to have a little bit of a blur, that I wanted to use without having makeup, or I could do kind of that no makeup. And it is my #1 bestseller.
Wow. I want that. That sounds amazing. That's really some good stuff.
You're going to use the SPF that you're going to love.
Yeah.
So that's what I always tell women. Use the one you love.
That you love.
Use the products that you love.
That you want
and
to
that's
put
why
on.
people love it, because it's an SPF that they don't really think of as an SPF. It's got a little blurring. It's like, we call it kind of like a filter in a bottle. Same with our Wide Awake. We just launched shade extensions. We had only original shade Honey. And then we just launched this year shade 1, 2, and 4, which is pink, peach. And they're crushing at Sephora. Yay. So it's like, I was trying to get women to use their eye cream. And women were like, I want to use my eye cream, but I don't. So I made a Wide Awake brightening eye cream that conceals, that helps with dark circles, fine lines and wrinkles, helps with puffiness. And it was a huge success. And so we launched 3 more shades. So I'm like pink, and 3 honey. But it's been a wild ride. Oh. I have to say, my community has been incredible. It's not that I'm reinventing things. That's, how do I make something better? I don't believe in a 50-step routine. My morning cocktail is my vitamin C. The reason why it's so good is because every time I'd sit in a makeup chair, the makeup artist would say to me, can you please take off your skincare? I don't want it to pill under the makeup. I always thought about that. And I was like, I'll just put all my skincare on. And so my morning cocktail, which is my brightening niacinamide, the one thing, I made it weightless. It doesn't pill. It doesn't smell like hot dog. And it's not sticky, right?
The hot dog thing is so true.
It's so true. You don't want to wear it because it smells like a hot dog. And same with Wide Awake. My eye patches, my overachievers, they're sold out at Sephora right now. But hopefully by the time this podcast airs, we will be back. I launched them throwing a bucket of water on my face, because every time I would want to wear eye patches, they would just drip down. So mine do not move. They depuff in about 10 minutes. So it's look, you're a little bit younger than me, but I want something that works. I want efficacy, but I want it to look good too. And I think that was what was missing. I didn't want to think about like my products in perimenopause. I didn't want to think about, oh God, it's so derm. I don't know how to use it. But it's been a journey. We did our first raise, our big raise, 15 million. Our Series A, which was daunting.
By the way, huge. Like, congratulations. That's so exciting.
Thank you. Again, it's going to be hard. Yeah, but it was okay. I found great partners, and I'm super excited for the year. It's just a big, exciting year for the brand. It's big for me, like who would have thought Molly Sims would be speaking on a panel for JP Morgan. Like, I don't speak for banks. You know what I mean? Like, I don't mean this in a bad way. That's not my superpowers. But, I think, listen, it's all a journey, right? But I think for me, switching kind of my mindset to being healthy as opposed to being skinny, like that has come with age. That has come with being a mom. What fuels me. But yeah, it's all a balance. It's all a juggle.
And it's really amazing to see your career, because you have literally reinvented yourself in so many different industries.
I'm like a cat.
You're a cat. You're, like you said, you're literally a cat. And the through line is obviously beauty and being able to feel amazing. And going back to, you started modeling in the mid-90s, very different than the world is now. What did you learn?
Thank God.
Thank God for that.
Heroin chic is out.
Thank God. Thank you, God.
It didn't do me any favors. I cut off all my hair, dyed it Clairol, the last color on the Clairol Espresso. It's Espresso. Yeah, it wasn't the most inclusive.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, beauty, people think, it's what you look like. It's how you feel. It's inside and it's outside, because I don't care how good you look. If you don't feel it, I've seen it. I've been at the Oscars. I had an argument about my dress. I was like, oh my God, I look terrible. I looked back at those pictures and I'm like, how in the world did I get in that mindset? But someone wanted me to wear something else and I felt a little bit insecure. You're always going to be insecure, right? The Golden Globes. Do you look like a stuffed flamingo, or do you wear the blaster out? I picked the stuffed flamingo, but it worked out. But I don't know. Feeling good is not about the outside.
Going back to what you were saying in the beginning about manifestation, to me, beauty is manifestation. It is literally the cliche of when you look good, you feel good. When you take care of yourself, it makes you feel differently. You have this like lit from within, and that's the beauty.
Also energy.
Okay, go off on energy.
I'm a big believer. And I don't want to sound like hokey pokey or like whatever, but we love that here. I'm a big believer in energy. women's energy, people's energy. I can tell when people don't have good energy. I know it sounds crazy. I just have a big thing. I think, a lot of years I didn't have an office, so I would have to hire people to help me. It was the one thing that I was always very cautious and protective over myself, but also when I had babies and my husband, it's someone's energy. If someone's energy is off, get out of that space.
Yeah.
Girlfriends can bring good things out of you. They can bring bad things out of you. Sometimes it's okay to take a break. It's okay to walk away. Sometimes it just doesn't serve you at this moment. Be very hyper vigilant about that because energy can sometimes build you up, but it can also take you down.
What is your energy hygiene like? Like, how do you make sure that your energy always feels good? Especially all the shit that the industries, there's a lot of energy suckers out there.
Yeah. We call them vampires.
Vampires. That's exactly what it is.
Look, I've gotten better with saying no. I've gotten boundaries, but I'm 52. I'm 20 years older than you are. So that's taken that muscle.
That's a muscle.
Always been the strongest. Like when I was dating, I would love a dead bird on the side of the road that I could bring back. You know what I mean? Like I'm not the best. I think COVID taught me a lot.
Interesting.
Yeah. It gave me an excuse to stay home. It gave me an excuse to say no. I think I started getting very run down. My mom got sick. She died.
Sorry. During COVID? Ugh.
Yeah. And, where you place your energy. And I remember just trying to figure out I'm the sandwich generation. Which the sandwich generation for all the young ones listening to this podcast is you're in the middle. You're not the parent, but then you have small children at home and it's a lot,
You're kind of taking care of two generations.
I'm taking care of two generations.
And that is a lot.
A lot. My dad died last year and look, it's not a pity party. It's a lot. And I think that energy when you say, oh, well, how do you learn to say no? I think for self-preservation.
Because you have to.
You can't be everything to everyone. You want to. I interviewed Zelana Montemini. I'm saying it wrong. She wrote this great book called 21 Days of Resilience and something about the state of focus. And it was such a good, powerful podcast recording because I'm the queen of multitasking. Like to get here, I should have said, I have to do it another day, to be really honest with you. Then I didn't want to let you down. But then I'm like, okay.
Molly, you would never let me down.
I know,
change
but
any day for you.
I think sometimes my multitasking I wear as a badge of honor.
Yeah. I think a lot of women feel that way.
And as opposed to sometimes I'll be talking. I was just talking on the phone to my husband on the way over here. I forgot I was talking to him because I tried to park at the Coffee Bean at the other place that I got mixed up with the directions. And he was like, I'm still here on the phone. I don't know. I think this 2026 resolution is just to kind of be more focused, be more
present.
And it's been, look, my company took off. Who knew? I mean, out of anything that you think is going to work, I did not think that,
I could have guessed. I don't know.
Well, I had 5 brands launch before me. And I think the 6th brand, I think 2 of us are left in 2.5 years.
Wow.
So the over, I was on the under. But there's a time to multitask and there's a time not to. There's a time to be thoughtful, to be strategic, to not just always feel like the house is burning down. And when you start a company, I always say, pull down your oxygen mask, tighten your seatbelt and, get ready for that ride because it's a ride and it's stomach churning and it's difficult and you need money and team. It's hard.
It's almost like we have to train our nervous system to not be so urgent.
Well, I think that was for me, I think, fight or flight,
yes.
Right? Constant. And we had an incredible year last year. I think the fires were very difficult. My family was affected. I live west of LA, and we were out of our home for 5 months. I just think a lot of it, building a company, 3 kids, our school made it, but it was just difficult. There's a lot.
Yeah. And that's when like the whole city's mourning, but then also you're trying to figure out your life, your kids' lives. That's a lot. It's so much. It's like a lot doesn't even cover it.
I know.
How do you think that you handled all of the stress that you've been through between starting a company, all the things going on in your personal life?
The beginning of January last year, I thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown. I actually called my therapist and I was like, my heart will not stop racing. And it was just that going through the fire, we had an app called Fire Duty or Fire Watch or Watch whatever. And it would just the sound, and you could see your street and you could see if your house was burning down. And it was just a constant. And then my littlest one every day for 9 days was like, do we still have a house? It just was it was not like any experience I'd ever gone through. A tornado, it's over in 3 minutes. A fire, I had one in my room during Sports Illustrated. It got put out in 2 minutes. It just kept going and going. It just felt like it. But those 8 days just like, and the winds, it would just turn. And I was by myself and my husband was on a plane. I thought at that point, I'm like, oh, I might, but then I've got my babies, I've got my dogs, I've got people relying on me. But it was difficult. I don't know. I think I just put one foot in front of the other every single day, but I was tired.
That would for sure wreck your nervous system.
It did.
You're probably exhausted.
I was.
Yeah. But I was so
lucky.
Resilient. Yeah. And
I was lucky.
That's a great way to look at it.
I didn't lose my house. A lot of my friends lost everything. We lost our community.
It's awful. I'm so sorry. I think something that's amazing about you is your vulnerability, your strength, which I typically hate when, I think strength is this thing that we say to women of like, oh, you're so strong. And it's like, but I don't want to have to be strong. I don't want to go through the shit that I have to be strong for. So I typically hate receiving or giving that compliment. But going through your entire career, all the hurdles that you went through starting in the mid-90s, going through the modeling industry, like you have been through some shit and you have been an example of how to do that with grace and how to come up the other side. I look at you, even not even knowing all of your personal life that you're going through, and just think like, oh my God, you are the cat with 9 lives. You keep coming through. And it's such a powerful lesson. And I'm curious, looking at your incredible career and all the things that you've gone through, is there a personality trait or something that you think that you have that has attributed to your success and your strength in your life?
I think somewhere deep inside, I can do it.
You know you can do it.
I might be zigzagging to the finish line. I don't know. Deep down, I'm like, I can do this. And like, I think because look, the little choo-choo train who like, you're like, okay, you can't get up, and people say, oh, you're not going to make it. It does fuel you. So whether that's personality trait or that's just from people being like, I'm just going to prove you wrong. That is very me.
I would say that's a trait, because I think most people they hear someone say, oh, I don't think you can make it. You can't do it. You get rejected, whatever. And they think, oh, that means I suck. That means I can't do it. And then that's the end for them. You've had 10,000 lives because you said, just watch me. I'll prove you wrong.
Yeah.
Damn.
I know.
Mic drop to that. Molly, we are going to wrap up with some rapid fire questions, although I could talk to you forever. First one, something about you that people would be surprised to know.
I eat breakfast for dinner.
Every night, or just
not a lot, but I love breakfast.
Like a French toast or like an eggs and potatoes vibe?
Poached, love avocado, wheat toast, love.
Breakfast for any meal is great. Okay, breakfast is by far the best meal. What is your go-to breakfast?
I love poached eggs. I love a side of avocado, wheat toast, and salt.
Yum! Wow, that's making me hungry. That sounds great. Your biggest pinch me moment, or a moment that you realized you made it?
I think as a model standing in Antique Batik in the Marais When Joan Juliet Buck, the editor-in-chief of French Vogue, called me and said I was on the cover of French Vogue, I thought I was going to pass out.
I mean, I would. Yeah. You made it. Like,
I think also getting engaged in my closet was really pretty fun
wait,
too.
I'm sorry, you got engaged in your closet? The story I don't know.
Next time.
You're going to tease us like
I'm
that?
going to tease you, but it's a good one. We can
Have
do
you
a dating
shared this on your
episode.
podcast?
No.
Okay, part 2. More to come. Fill in the blank. If everyone had this one habit, it would change their life.
Turn a no into a yes.
Ooh, that's a great answer. The best advice you've ever received.
Go with your gut. Go with your gut. We were talking about a situation, sadly, a medical situation with a woman, and she was like, they kept saying, oh, it's just symptoms of a migraine, symptoms of a migraine. She was in her early 50s. She's like, no, something's wrong with me. Go with your gut. And something was wrong. She had a mild stroke.
Wow.
She's fine, totally fine. But go with your gut. Even when I was having my babies, my doctor, Michelle Milavina, who's amazing. If you're ever in LA and you could possibly ever get her as your doctor, she's incredible. But she was telling me about a story who a woman said to her, something's wrong with me. And she believed her. You know, always go with your gut. You know what? People might think you're cuckoo for cocoa. Who cares? Go with your gut. I have gone with my gut and it has served me very well.
I feel like especially as women, we always know. Always. I love that advice. Last question, a book that changed your life.
The Anxious Generation by Jonathan Haidt.
I've heard so much about that.
It's amazing. It's where we are as a society with children, how we're raising them now. Also, Zelana, it's called Finding Focus. I don't know why I couldn't think of the finding. I love that book. It's definitely, I don't know, kind of made me think about doing so many different things.
Oh my God, I'm adding
Finding
this to my reading
Focus,
list.
Zelana.
Finding Focus.
Montemini. I think that's how I say her last name.
Amazing.
We have a little surprise for you guys.
What?
On the podcast, because I love you. And you don't know this, but we're giving all your listeners Everygirl 15 for wisebeauty.com. So it's YSEbeauty.com. It's Everygirl 15.
Everygirl
so
15.
You're going to get 15% off the entire site.
That's
You're going to love the It Girl lip glosses, Fashion Me Late. You're going to love the lip mask, the X pads, the Problem Solver. It's fun.
I'm getting the sunscreen especially.
I already got you.
Molly,
I already got you.
Okay,
gifts.
then I'm going to do a video and I'll share with my
Yeah.
audience then, because everything you were saying, I'm like, yeah, I need that. I need that.
Yeah.
That
But
is
thank
such
you,
a generous discount. Wow.
for
thank
having
you
me.
so
It's
much.
so fun.
Oh my gosh.
yeah.
It was so much fun. The time flew by. I know you have to run.
I know.
But where else can people find you? Obviously, Lipstick on the Rim.
Yeah, Lipstick on the Rim. I co-host it with my best friend. She has 3 kids and she's 5'4". I'm 5'9.5". She lives in Jersey and I live in LA. We talk beauty, talk wellness, we talk life. And at Molly B. Sims. Yeah, with 1 M. And Wise Beauty. We're excited. We have such good drops this year. You guys, I've been working on this one that's coming out in April for 3 years. But I'm super excited. Yeah. It's
my
been a roller
gosh.
coaster, but
worth
good.
it.
It's
I'm
worth it.
so excited for you. I'm
Every
so
Girl
excited to hear
15,
what's
Wise
next.
Beauty.
Everygirl 15. Everyone go shop. Thank you so much,
You're
Molly.
so
This was
welcome.
amazing. Yay.
We did it.
We did it. I hope you enjoyed the episode. I know I sure did. Please do not forget to rate, review, and subscribe. It really makes a huge difference for our show so we can keep growing and bringing the content that you love. If you want more info, you can find us at the Everygirl Podcast on Instagram or theeverygirlpodcast.com. Talk to you next week.